If you had to sum up Sotogrande in one sentence, what would you say?
The art of living.
The art of living. Thank you. Welcome to Charlie and Sotogrande, a podcast which I'm trying to get off the ground, where I hope to dive into the lives of people who live, work, and enjoy this beautiful, incredible community. Today, my guest is Rita Jordão, who is the Director of Marketing at Sotogrande SA. Rita, very welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Before we get into everything that we're going to get into, how would you introduce yourself to someone you have never met?
Oof. Generally, it's quite funny because when you give your number to somebody as you're exchanging contacts, my surname tends to be Sotogrande.
Oh, yeah.
Rita Sotogrande.
Rita
So that's
like
one
Charles.
way
Yes, that's
of introducing myself. How do I introduce myself? I mean, when people ask me about my background and my history, it's hard because as years go by, it becomes longer and longer. So you need to
Yeah.
kind of compile it into a short version.
I know the
But
feeling. I get the same thing because I was born in South America, and it's a long. I know, a bit older than you, so it's even longer than yours.
But yeah, as years go by, the story becomes longer. But how would I introduce myself? Look, I'm a marketeer above all. Absolute passionate about golf, passionate about places like Sotogrande, and passionate about what I do. I was lucky enough to be born into a family that was very much involved in the world of golf, in the world of business.
Okay.
Very lucky to have been mentored by my mum and my aunt, who from a very young age of mine was taking me on business trips. I think they invented pleasure trips.
Pleasure. I've never
They were
heard of
doing
that.
they were doing that when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
So, that was a few years ago. And I was lucky enough to have that
Yeah.
in my background. And even if you seem to not be listening at the age of 10 and 11 and
Yeah.
12, you are absorbing a lot of
Of course.
information.
Yeah.
And I was lucky enough that through that, obviously, I managed to acquire language skills,
Yeah.
which have really, really helped me in my career, in my professional future.
And isn't it funny that you learn one, two, and then the third is much easier, and sometimes the
Third,
fourth. Yeah.
I always say from the third onwards,
Yeah,
it's a
just,
piece of cake. So
absolutely.
I'm going to learn Japanese, I guess.
Yeah, no problem. So let's start with the big question. What brought you here to Sotogrande itself?
Well, it was an opportunity, a job opportunity to come here. To be honest, I was living with my family. My husband, as you know, is French. Our son was born in Barcelona,
Yeah.
and we were living in near Barcelona at the time. And I was approached by Sotogrande to come and head the marketing here at Sotogrande SA. When I was offered that opportunity, look, I've known Sotogrande for a long time. I worked at Quinta, Lago, Quinta and Sotogrande always
Okay.
a little bit in competition with each
Yeah.
other. So, I knew Sotogrande, I knew the golf quality in Sotogrande, and I knew the quality of life that you could get here. So, to be honest, it wasn't a very difficult decision.
Okay.
And, when you come from a professional point of view, often you think at it as potentially could be something temporary, especially because, my family is very international, French, Portuguese. We met in London. But as time goes by, we really see Sotogrande as a home, more than just a
Was
place.
it love at first sight in the sense of you fitting into the community rather than leave the work to aside for a moment?
The fitting in the community always takes a little bit of time. It's just normal anywhere in the world. What happens in Sotogrande is because it's such an international community that process is much faster
Yeah.
than in other places. And me with my husband, the first place where we moved together was in Girona, in the north of Catalonia, which wasn't so international and not necessarily that easy to integrate socially.
Yeah.
So when you come to Sotogrande, when you have a young child, you put them at the international school. I mean, the first few weeks already, I was getting invites to go for dinner and
I
parties,
found
etc.
exactly the same. I mean, I've had my kids in international schools in Paris. I've had them in Nairobi. I've had them in Cali in Colombia. I've had them, in New Zealand. I've had them in London. And that's the point of entry into the community is your kids, because you've got parents who are, more or less the same age, and that's how you pick up.
And here in Sotogrande, as you know, I mean, obviously Sotogrande 60 years ago was very much Spanish and British.
Yeah.
It has diversified itself so much that, I mean, us Sotogrande SA, we're selling homes to, 17, 18, 19 different nationalities every year.
Yeah.
So
22.
22.
22. I
Wow.
counted.
So there you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
It's
We're all
yeah, we're all going along the same lines, and it's
Yeah.
just how Sotogrande has become and
Yeah.
has evolved,
Exactly.
which is great. I mean, I think it's
Yeah.
it's a great community, and even look, I'm Portuguese originally. I've never, and I haven't lived in Portugal for a long time, but I've never actually gone to a place where I have immediately a little pool of Portuguese residents, and I have my little Portuguese group of friends, which is amazing.
I know you do. Because I play golf with one. And I said, I'm playing with Rita. Rita! Yes! But Jogo. Okay, so fantastic. So you're here, okay, and you love it here, it seems, and it's great to know. But Sotogrande is a unique place, yeah, and like anywhere else, of course, there are challenges. We all find challenges wherever we go. How does Sotogrande compare, would you say, to other luxury coastal destinations? You mentioned Quinta do Lago, which you have first-hand experience with. Is it possible to compare something like Quinta do Lago with Sotogrande? Are they similar? I mean, neither of them are towns; they are resorts as such. I think Sotogrande's a little bit bigger, maybe.
It's in a way it's inevitable to compare because people do.
Yeah.
Clients do, as you know.
Yeah.
You have
Yeah.
clients that go and see property in Quinta do Lago. I have clients that have lived there and suddenly decide to come and buy in Spain. There's a lot of things that you can compare and people compare, even in terms of rules, regulation, taxes, etc. So it's almost inevitable to compare, but in a way there are many differences, and one of them we've just mentioned it. The variety of clients that arrive in Sotogrande is much higher than in Quinta. Quinta is much more dependent on the British market.
Is it? Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It's diversified itself a little bit over the past few years, but it's still very dependent on the British market.
I don't want to get into Brexit, but has Brexit hurt them more maybe than Sotogrande in terms of that particular clientele, the British?
I don't know. I don't think the Brexit, affects necessarily that level of clientele these days. Plus, I think Quinta, the amount of product they have or new stock of product that they have in the market is very limited. So it's become much more of an operational business than a real estate business nowadays.
Yeah.
And then when you start to compare items, they're a little bit not comparable in the sense of the business model of Sotogrande from the very beginning was very different to the business model in Quinta. And why do I say this? You look at the golf courses, for instance. The golf courses in Quinta have a certain element of membership, but literally the courses continue to be run as commercial businesses, right?
A bit like Almenara, I suppose, which is
bit
more,
like-
a green fee, pay as you go.
There's a percentage of members that take slots every day on one or the other golf courses, but the rest is commercialized openly to the public. Right?
Unlike Valderrama,
Green
like
fees.
Real Club, yeah.
Valderrama, the concept in Sotogrande has always been much more residential and less tourist. So, and I think that's one of our great differential points in Sotogrande, and that's what makes Sotogrande very, very special.
Okay.
If you pay attention to the original master plan of Sotogrande, you'll find that there are very, very little plots and very little room for hotels, right?
It's up there on the wall. Yeah, you can see it. Yeah.
Exactly. So in the end, you have the Sotogrande Hotel, the 5-star property in Sotogrande, which is 152 rooms, right? And then you have Encinad with 100 rooms, 100 and something, and you have the Nîmes with 40.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. And there's no room to put more hotels in Sotogrande. So it's always been a lot more residential. Even the golf courses and the structure of the golf courses was always fed and designed more for that residential client, meaning memberships. And the members become the owners of those golf courses.
Yeah.
So what does that mean? It means that, quite frankly, last summer, in August, my sister convinced me to go to Italy. And I regretted it drastically. It was amazing going to Italy. But Sotogrande is so much nicer.
Yeah, I know.
During the peak months of the year because of that,
Yeah.
because it's not a tourism destination as such.
I find it difficult to go anywhere on holiday. People go for sun, for golf, for whatever, and I've just come back from the Dominican Republic, and where was I? In Casa de Campo, and what is there there? There's golf, there's a villa we rented, there's a beach.
did I make
So
all the way here?
I went all the way there. Yeah. All right, it's different weather, it's different food, it's different music, it's different. There's a change, of course, but it's summer, and here it's winter, or there it's some winter, but it's a better winter. But yeah.
But within Europe, if you're lucky enough to discover Sotogrande, even if you don't own a house here, but to come and spend your vacation here, stay at the hotel. I mean, you're not going to be ever in a crowded environment.
Yeah.
The beach is available. It's you don't have to book things
Sure.
days in advance. You can really enjoy it, like in very very few places in the peak months, and then in the rest of the year we have.
Of course.
Like, we have this fantastic weather. We have this fantastic location. So there isn't much to criticize. There are challenges always.
Oh yeah, don't we know it? So if Sotogrande SA has played a major role in shaping, the Sotogrande lifestyle because of what you just said, what's the vision for Sotogrande in the future for Sotogrande SA? I mean, how do you see it evolving in the coming years? Because there is La Reserva. I'm going to get into that, I'm sure, in terms of what's going on there. But it is finite. Although I've come across companies calling things they've bought outside Sotogrande because of its proximity. So you're going to get that. Is there some sort of plan that Sotogrande SA have that you can share with us?
Look, we try to be quite protective of what is Sotogrande in the sense of you're in geographically speaking, you're either in or you're out. Right, and sometimes it can be hard to protect that, going into that little detail. But we try to do it because we feel it's important, because there is a geographic limitation, and it is important that people understand that you're inside or you're outside, because there's a lot of elements of privacy, security, etc. that you have inside Sotogrande that you don't have on the outside. So. Covering that subject, I think that we are doing a lot of work on that front, and we will continue to do a lot of work on that front. And I think that's beneficial to everyone that is involved in Sotogrande as a business. What does the future hold? Well, I think one of the great achievements of Sotogrande has been to over the course of six decades, 60 years, over 60 years now, to maintain, and I know there's been periods, ups and downs, and more investment, less investment, but there is something that has always been maintained, which is that same vision, right? That vision that Joseph McMicking, and the dream that Joseph McMicking had from the very beginning of creating a secure, safe environment for families from around the world to come and enjoy, surrounded by nature, low density, with a lot of healthy and sports activities.
You sound like me when I'm talking to my clients.
But that's something that's very unique, to maintain that vision over 60 years. And, when we make this comparison all the time between, and you do that with your clients, I'm sure, what's the difference between Marbella and Sotogrande? Everything, right?
When I get asked that question, the difference between Sotogrande and Marbella, I say, you can't compare them. They are different. In fact, ask me to compare it with La Zagaleta or with Sierra Blanca even, or with, but that's as far as I can go. But it's not a town.
But why? And why is Sotogrande so different to Marbella? Because indeed, it was all part of the same concept, part of the same vision that was maintained over the years. It would have been very easy, I'm sure, at some points where we had some crisis over 60 years. It would have been very easy to go the Marbella route and increase density, reduce the size of the plots, build. But no, we maintained that vision, and that's expression that we always talk about, the classic luxury, the silent luxury, the slow living, slow cooking, slow enjoying life, that's been part of Sotogrande for the 60 years that have gone by. And luckily for us, that concept is very much in fashion these days.
But you see, if you ask me the difference between Quinta, Lago and Sotogrande, I'd say that over there you have, I won't call him a dictator, but you have someone who tells things as they should be and how they will be. There's one person or one company running it. Here, you try and do something, and you got, you know, the EUC, you have Sotogrande, you have the town hall, you have the poor people, you have the, you know, the not even the golf guys can get together. Maybe the real estate, we're all fighting each other because we're very competitive. You know, so it's very different from that point of view.
Don't get me wrong, from a real estate point of view, and brokers in Sotogrande, in Quinta, like they're also fighting each other.
I'm sure. Oh, yeah, well, yeah, okay. But the streets all work. The you know, everything is beautiful and well done because someone is saying, and you're paying considerably more than you pay for community fees here. So I understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct.
So
That is a challenge from an organizational point of
Yeah.
view, and from you know, and you know this, like you want to do something, and you find a lot of barriers along the way. But I think, you know, my perspective when I got here was from a marketing perspective and a communication perspective is let's go above that. Because if we get too much into that, what we will do is I will just take care of my business and everything that I'm doing individually. Because if I'm investing in communicating Sotogrande to the rest of the world, the other restaurants are going to benefit, the agencies.
yeah.
My point of view is I represent Sotogrande. I have that brand. So if we fall into that, this is my business, we won't gain. I won't gain. Nobody will gain. But above all, it's my investment. I gain more from doing that, even if others gain,
Yeah.
than if I don't do it.
Absolutely.
You know. So
But there's a
you know,
synergy. There's a synergy.
and I think there was perhaps a need for somebody to come in and take that posture.
I think you're right. You may not want to answer this. What are your key priorities in the strategy in terms of keeping Sotogrande's exclusivity as opposed to making it more mass market? I don't know if you can say that, but you know, ensuring it remains attractive to new buyers of the similar ilk that we have already, of the similar residents, if you see what I mean. Is there anything special that's going on? I mean, increasing the green fee prices has attracted more Americans than I ever thought, simply because it's expensive.
Yeah.
But
Look, I don't know. I think
Yeah.
we have a great product. One thing that, as you know, we have been doing is, you know, really promoting a certain level of product that wasn't in the market in Sotogrande previously, such as, you know,
which is my question next, is the high-end projects that you have, like the Seven, the Collection, the Village Verde, they must be attracting a different type of profile, I think, than the ones we've had here forever and a day. That has changed in recent years, and that's down to Sotogrande SA. You know, we now have, I mean, I've got here
thank you for having
the Aqua, I got Niwa, I have the Collection and Village Verde, which is, you know, I think the ones you're focusing on more.
Yes.
People buying those products.
So there's obviously very different levels there when we look at those brochures and the product that we have there. Village Verde is a fantastic, I think you would agree, a fantastic product with a level of detail and delivery, low density, incredible communal areas. So an amazing community that everybody's very happy that has moved in. Delivery of phase 2 coming up in June. Coming up on time in June. And I think that's been a great success and has given us the grounds in La Reserva to build on top of that and on quality. And then obviously the collection, the 7, the 15, and what we have done is put a big emphasis on projects in the 15 and the 7, as well as in the collection. As you know, we're starting construction of one villa in the collection, hopefully a second one soon.
Which one is that, Retiro or Lago?
Retiro.
Retiro. That's starting.
Hopefully a second, that started.
Okay, good.
Started.
Good to know, actually, because I was talking about someone offering it to them, but they wanted to make sure it was out of the ground. So I'll talk to you later.
Yeah, let's make some business. But what we've noticed is indeed by putting fully developed projects and putting an emphasis on the 7 and the 15, it really has, and obviously making, you know, a big push through brokers, but also through our marketing campaigns, has really created a very interesting momentum.
Yeah.
And I think it's a momentum that obviously is benefiting us, but it goes down
Absolutely.
everywhere else in
Yeah,
Sotogrande.
yeah, clearly.
So we see that right now we've never seen the movement for that type of property like now. So, you know, and that's due to emphasis. Of course, when you talk about the 7 and the 15, elements of quality, so it's a fully private community within a private community. You know, like Grand Reserve, where the 7 and the 15 are. that is a big element that we have always been pushing for, and in this particular case, even more so. And other projects that we're working on, obviously privacy is always a very important element. The low density, as you know, we don't exhaust. We already have limited capacity in Sotogrande to build, and we never exhaust that capacity. So, that is a very, very important element. And then from a lifestyle perspective, there's been a lot of investment. You mentioned the beach. The beach is a never evolving place. As you probably know, we are really working on our F&B offer, but also working on, improving the service delivery at the beach. We're integrating the hotel much more in all of the activities that we do.
Is seasonality a problem with the beach in the sense that, it's I know in winter, and I'm going on Sunday or Sunday week to your kind invitation to the new restaurant, or is it like, not sure, new, but new launch, whatever.
Revamped.
Yeah, and but I remember at the beginning when the beach was first there, we would go in the winter and it was not many people there. It was cold. And
So that's why these things sometimes require time, learning, and adjustment. So that's why they're ever evolving businesses. So what we've done this year we've launched in the summer, we've launched Ancala, so the revamped restaurant, and we wanted to create another location for the residents of Sotogrande to enjoy in the winter, because it's a fantastic location with all the sun that we have. You don't necessarily have to go there just to go lay on the beach and go swimming. You can just go and enjoy a meal in the sunshine. So you will see next week when you go that we've made some changes on the inside, and we've expanded to the side terrace, and we're opening up to the views of the beach. So it's a smaller, cozier environment, and that's what it needs for the winter.
Absolutely.
So it's a matter of adjusting the product.
It's interesting because I've always said that a good restaurant is going to get clientele, and there's no better example than Canchados. If people are prepared to drive, albeit 10 minutes outside Sotogrande, to go to a restaurant, which sadly, as we know, what happened, but I'm sure it'll come back. The beach is even closer. So there's no reason why I shouldn't go to the beach to eat in the middle of winter at night. As long as the offering is right, the ambiance is great, I'm not there on my own, all of that would be, I think, a huge positive for us locals who live here all the time. It's
Absolutely. It takes time to position, in a place like Sotogrande, an evening restaurant throughout the winter, but we have examples of very successful locations, as you mentioned. There's others, and what we want to do is to start increasing that offer, not just in the summer but in the winter as well. That in the last summer, we already started to extend the hours to the evening, to allow people to stay later at the beach and even enjoy some tapas in the evening. So that's the progression. That's what we want to continue doing.
Like in all places, you need some early adopters, and the early adopters go regularly. Do you have any?
Why do you think I invited you?
Okay, so let's move on to, we just touched on it actually, lifestyle and social scene. People know Sotogrande for its lifestyle: golf, sailing, polo, fine dining now. What's your ideal day in Sotogrande?
That's funny you ask, because last week I spent a lot of time with the production company shooting a new video of Sotogrande.
Oh.
And I think that video is the answer to that question.
Okay, so let's go through the. No.
Let's go through the script.
Yeah.
Now, look, I don't know. My family, us in particular, obviously, my husband's a golfer, I'm a golfer, but we also, before starting to play golf, when I was born, I was born with a tennis racket in my hand.
Okay.
So my husband is a big fan of paddle. Our son is very sporty, so he enjoys any kinds of sports. So for us, it's actually very, very, almost the perfect place to live. Plus, when you have the weather that you do over here, you have all these opportunities throughout the whole year. So that is fantastic. The ideal day for me in Sotogrande, there's many ideal days. I can't fit it all in one day. It's impossible, Charles.
Okay, we can. You'll be too tired from the Saturday to do anything on a Sunday, probably.
I don't know. I think there is a lot. There is a lot. Just when I think about the F&B, or from a social point of view, there's no weekend. There's no ideal weekend without a party there in the mix.
Yeah.
Which, as you know, often happen in private environments, in the houses, etc. But there's no ideal weekend without a little party in there. But my weekend in Sotogrande, which doesn't have to be the ideal, but my normal weekend would be, on Saturday mornings, I take my son to his golf lesson, to his golf school.
Where does he go? In La Reserva? Yeah.
No, not at the moment. But
Yeah.
yeah, and in the future we'll be going to the new golf academy that we're opening at.
Well, that's something else I'm going to talk about here later. But okay, tell me about the new golf academy you're putting up very soon.
Do you want me to finish with my ideal week? My
Please,
weekend, my
please.
normal weekend.
Yes.
My normal weekend would be, we go early, we hit some balls as well, have some breakfast. So that's a very nice, actually, moment for me and my husband. That we drop him in his golf lesson, golf school, and we have some time for ourselves. We tend to, after that, just go grab lunch somewhere on a beach somewhere around here, because the weather tends to be promoting suitable a lunch at the beach. We would then generally organise something on Saturday evening. There's your party at the weekend, and on Sunday we go play golf, the three of us, and we play in La Reserva. We tend to play Almenara sometimes.
Yeah.
My son has only turned 7, so we play Texas Scramble.
Nice.
Very easy format for the three of us, and we just have fun, enjoy, finish with lunch at the hotel. We're at La Reserva, and then an easy afternoon.
So if you're 7 years old, in 17, 19, 4 years he'll be out driving you.
I know. It's crazy. Every week he seems to be gaining distance and height.
Yeah.
His shoes are already almost the same as mine. I've got particularly small feet.
Yeah. So tell me about the academy. That's I keep driving up that road and I see the people working away, and there was grass and there was no grass, and it rained a lot, and then the lake came up, and things seem to have stopped, but now they're working again. When is that going to be ready?
It's been a challenge. Just on that, it's been a challenge because we couldn't start because we were waiting for rain. We needed some water, and then we started, and then we got delayed because it rained too much. So when you're working on soil, then it can, if it's at the wrong time of the construction process, it can become a problem. But we're there. And if you drive today, you can see it very green now.
Yeah.
And soon there's going to be a small building coming. And look, what we're trying to do there is something quite different. Quite different in the sense that we have the best golf in Sotogrande. We have the number 1, number 2, number 4 golf courses in Spain. The best ones are here. And we have, when you compare the destination to anywhere else in the world from a golfing perspective, let's not talk about polo, because polo is another story, a very interesting one as well. But talking specifically about golf, it's very hard to find anywhere on the globe a location like Sotogrande with the quality of golf that it has, right? At the same time, it's serious golf for serious golfers.
Yeah, it's not for guys going for a steak and prawn cocktail and get drunk and then play and and drive around like lunatics and all this. It's for proper golfers.
And I'm not going to say that what we're doing is for people to get drunk and drive around like lunatics.
No.
But what I'm saying is sometimes it's, even for the community of people that live here, it's hard to find a place where you can actually go with a small child that's learning to play golf and go on the golf course and enjoy yourself. You can't do that in the likes of Valdrama, La Reserva, or our club, So that which creates barriers to a certain level of the community to actually get into the game. There's a lot of women, for instance, whose husbands have been playing golf for many years, and this is a cliche, but I feel like me being a woman, I can use that cliche because it's real. That feel that it's hard to pick up the game because there's a lot of rules that they don't necessarily understand. They're going with somebody who dominates that world, but they don't, and they don't feel confident and comfortable. It's intimidating.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So what we want to do there is take away that level of intimidation and make it a very welcoming place, right? And very easygoing and a little bit more on the lifestyle side of things. So we're doing that with Almenara, the 18 holes, and we're doing that by putting a 9-hole par 3 course, which will be a very, very fun way to take on the game. Or even somebody like myself who's been playing golf since I was almost born,
Yeah.
that I love playing,
Yeah.
you know, a 9 holes par 3. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So for children, for people picking up the game, I think it's going to be a great addition to Sotogrande. And then with the academy and all the technological and non-technological facilities that we're putting there, we're really creating a space that is very unique to Sotogrande and doesn't exist as of today.
Manuel Pinheiro is involved.
Manuel Pinheiro is very much involved in creating that product. So he's been helping us a lot with the design of everything and with creating the product.
You said there'll be a little building. What's going to be in the little building? Will it hit balls when it's raining, or is it,
There's going to be 2 studios,
yeah?
swing analysis studios,
Yeah.
with capacity for fitting as well, club fitting.
Nice.
There will be covered bays. There will be top tracer on those covered bays, so you can enjoy even an element of F&B. You know, you can enjoy golf at night with some friends over a beer and play a top tracer game, for instance.
Lovely.
So there's going to be a lot of lifestyle elements to this new academy, and what we want to do is that create a very easygoing, fun environment for all of us to enjoy golf in a different way. We don't always have to enjoy golf so seriously, even the ones who play golf seriously.
And membership, or is it going to be pay as you go? How's it going to work? I mean, someone like yourself who's a member of another
Both.
club, yeah, okay,
There'll be both options.
okay, and affordable.
That's a very vague concept.
Well, I mean, when I say affordable, because what you said is that, you know, say lady, you said women. Several times I have people coming and say, yes, I want to come here because of golf. And I say, where are you going to play? Oh, Valderrama. So, how many times do you want to play? Do you have a member? You know, they start looking at numbers, impossible. Real Club, yeah, it's a 1-year waiting list. So it's got to be affordable. And particularly, even if Mr. wants to go and play, Mrs. wants to learn. So she's going to have to go somewhere. And, you know, it's either La Cañada, which is affordable, or an alternative such as this one. But, you know, within the resort up there, that'll be, you know, fantastic.
Yeah, and it's going to be very well connected with the hotel. It's going to be part of the hotel product.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm working on a few, perhaps, surprises from a social point of view around there as well.
Party. Great. Okay, let's move on to the Sotogrande Hotel. Okay, because when I first came to Sotogrande, that was the Almenara Hotel, and it was the best situation in that whole place was a car park. You know, there was a car park that had a spectacular view, and I believe the general manager had the penthouse or the top one, and it just didn't make sense to me how you know, everything was you know, badly designed and everything else. Someone spent a lot of money getting it refurbished, and you have what I think is a great brand. I think it's Sofitel's resort type place. I think there were teething problems, but maybe the teething problems and now it seems to be getting some traction. What's your view overall on the hotel? Are you happy with this progress? Could it go faster?
It can always go faster. I think we've done with Stefan, the general manager of the hotel. I think he's doing a great job at key elements that make a big difference in a hotel like this. You will know the F&B and all the, you know, service lifestyle elements of a hotel, and plus the So brand is very much a lifestyle fashion brand, which goes very well with what we're doing with the new academy and the golf. Right, so we're trying to integrate the whole thing, so I'm very happy. I'm very happy with everything that I see at the hotel. I'm very happy to see the community using the hotel, which is something that we always wanted. Was the hotel not to be a closed element. We wanted always to be an open element to the community, you know, and that is happening. That is happening, and there's been a big difference from one year to the next. And that is thanks to a lot of effort from the team at the hotel, a lot of effort from an events point of view, from a positioning point of view, and from an improvement on the F&B offer at the hotel.
Yeah.
And I think that's quite visible.
Certainly. I mean, but from personal experience, the upstairs restaurant,
Yeah.
that is 180 degrees to
Yeah.
where it was when you first took it over, when they first took it over.
Exactly. So that's a good example. But the other thing that I'm extremely happy is what we are achieving as a team and this goes back to the brand and the destination, but what we're achieving as a team to position Sotogrande as a destination. And without the hotel and without the quality in the hotel, it's very hard to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy that we're where we are, and I think there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of ideas and a lot of things that we want to implement. A lot of them that I can't discuss yet, but I'm very happy where we are and where we're heading.
So looking at the future, you can't talk about some things, but future plans and the vision for Sotogrande. Where do you see it in 5-10 years? I mean, if you start looking at daydreaming where we are in 5 years, I mean, assuming we don't have, I always backcast to forecast, and all I know is that there will be a crash. Because you go back to 2008, 9, you go back to 90, whatever it was, 93, 94, you go back to 80 something. It is an up and down thing. We are still predominantly a second home resort, and what I noticed was that people were defending their first home when things are bad. So if you live in London or in Paris or in Berlin and you have a mortgage and you're under pressure, you will sell your house in a holiday place. So that's changing. Where do you see that? How do you see that?
Well, I think somehow we are a little bit protected from some of those crises. That's history also tells us that being on the high end level of real estate, we're less affected.
I always say now that we are in the perfect storm in a positive way. We're in a low density place, which after COVID was preferred. We have a variety of different properties. So if you have an apartment, you can go to a townhouse, and a townhouse, you can go to a villa, you can go to a big villa. We are benefiting from what's happening sadly in Eastern Europe with all the conflict there and the war. And out of my 22 different nationalities, Poles, Estonians, Lithuanians, they're there as well.
Yeah.
And as you know, one of them bought one of your products. So that is making people come this way. The situation in America, I understand that 50% of the people coming to America, into Europe from America, are from Florida, and most of those are Latinos. They end up in Madrid, and then they say, where do we go on holiday? The Costa del Sol, and we're getting the benefit of that.
Yeah, and I feel that there's more opportunities with the US market as well, because it's not just a matter of real estate, it's a matter of cost of living in general, and it's a matter of capacity in golf resorts and good quality golf courses that don't have capacity anymore, and there's waiting lists, etc. So here, we're still a very, very interesting proposition from a financial point of view, and from a golfing point of view. Aside from everything else that you can do in Sotogrande, obviously, because let's not forget that there's multiple opportunities to enjoy Sotogrande in different ways. But as I was saying, I think we are somehow much more protected than other products because of where we are. We are reaching a level of villa prices that it's unprecedented in Sotogrande. So that's increasing fast. So
But still affordable compared to just down the road in Marbella.
yes.
But
there's no room anymore to build there.
No, there isn't. But that's why prices are going up.
Exactly.
But their prices start at 9,000 euros a square meter for new stuff. Here, is where we don't even get there.
Yeah, but I'm even just talking about the full price of a villa, not even price per square meter, right? 22 million on the market 3, 4, 5 years ago was unthinkable.
Yeah.
Unthinkable.
Yeah.
So we are reaching a level that we have never reached before, and it is unprecedented for Sotogrande, and with the low density that we have here, etc., etc., etc. So I think in a way we are a little bit protected from that. And I think the more we put our efforts in that high end of the market, the more protected we are. So the more quality you have, the more low density, the more high end product you have, the better position you're in. Aside from that, I think there's a lot of investment that we're doing. There's a lot of effort also that we're doing in promoting Sotogrande as a full-time residency, and that community is growing, as you know.
Yeah.
There's elements that really help that. Obviously the Sotogrande International School, which is growing again.
The building going, it's amazing. There's another Bitcom. They bought the thing on the other side.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Because there's demand.
Yeah.
There's demand, and if there's demand to register children at the school, it means there's demand for people to live in Sotogrande full time. It's quite simple. And actually, there was a time the school was increasing its facilities for the boarding side of the school, and they've stopped that. Because you know what happened? This was a very interesting conversation that I had with the school director. He actually told me, now I have a problem because I got the school to invest so much money in the boarding facilities, and my boarding numbers are going down. Not because the students are leaving, but because the families are moving into Sotogrande.
Yeah, okay.
Because the parents are suddenly looking at their son enjoying life.
Yeah.
I should
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 be
all be there.
Incredible.
And that's what happened. So
So the new bit that's being built between the big white bit closer to the gate and the school, what's that? Is that going to be more classrooms?
No, I think there's that area is going to be more focused on a new theatres and new labs, etc. But which releases other spaces for classrooms.
Okay.
So the capacity will increase.
Fantastic.
So I think having that first or primary residency status, and obviously COVID has helped a lot on that. I think the trend in Sotogrande particularly started before that. But I think that trend of, looking for the place to live instead of the place to spend. I want to live in my paradise.
Yeah.
I don't want to just spend holidays there if I can live there, right? And that it's not just COVID, it's the fact that we all now we have technology. We can run our businesses from anywhere in the world.
But COVID maybe made that
Accelerated.
made it acceptable to work from home. Although I do know in London, for example, my son-in-law now has to go in. He can't. They say you must come in and.
But what it did, and I think that's more the profile of Sotogrande, is it made some bosses of their own businesses to decide, I run my business from here.
Absolutely.
And then it's your decision as a boss, because I can.
Yeah.
And the proximity from Gibraltar, which there's a lot of I wouldn't call it a tech hub, but there's a lot of digital businesses there as such. So
but it's going to London is like getting on a bus 3 hours and you're there. It's not not a big thing. If you had to sum up Sotogrande in one sentence, what would you say? And I'm going to ask everybody that comes to this podcast the same question to see what generally people are saying.
The art of living.
The art of living. Thank you. Rita Jordão, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you.